Welcome to Delivery for Business Unusual. My name is Edwin Cardoso, and I'm here with my friend Ziad Mohammed, and we are covering today a specific topic: how the new world looks like from the business person's standpoint. Ziad, how are you doing today?
Good, Edwin. How are you? Good to see you and good to be here.
I'm great. Thank you so much. It's been a busy week, but I know we're always committed to getting these out every week. So here we are on a Sunday evening. Before we cover our topic, and I go into my checklist of different items I want to cover, is there anything you want to say?
If we're going to talk about how does the new world look like, it's very, very important to understand and acknowledge that we still don't really know how they're going to look like. It's still being shaped. Still being formed, and this is clearly visible in everything that we see around us. So it's very important to keep an open mind towards that and to be flexible. Everyone is different. Every business, every line of business is different in this regard. Everyone is kind of in a different boat. Right, and I'll actually acknowledge my favorite quote about that from last time is we are in the same storm, but we are all in different boats. So being flexible, being adaptive, right, and keeping an open mind, right, is very important, and it's key to success in the new world that we're in.
Okay, perfect. So with that topic, actually, it covers my first idea of employees right now are being burnt out. They're they've had enough of COVID. It's been maybe 7, 8, 9 months, depending what part of the world they're in, that they've been shut down and working from home. So, what are companies doing, or what's the next step that companies have to do to kind of keep them sane, basically? Do you have any ideas?
They need to be more accommodating. They need to be more understanding. If we look at the business world, at the companies that stood as some of the best places to work, and they've always been very proud of the culture that they have, the inclusion, the sense of belongings, and this is way more important right now in the world that we live in. As you said, people are under tremendous stress for various reasons, right? How do you try and elevate the stress? How do you try and help people? It's very important to give them this sense of belonging, especially when they cannot go physically to a different place. They are always at home. Everyone is have their own challenges that we're dealing with. Make them feel more, make them believe that they really belong, right,
Yes,
to this environment, right? That
perfect.
they belong to a community, if I would
Yes,
choose the
so
word.
so that idea of community definitely is important, to put yourself as the leader of that community, because as a business you're trying to give the guidance. So I could see that. I do like the idea what you mentioned about the idea of compassion. Uh, I know some people have elderly folks that live with them or that they worry about, or the younger children and not being in school or how they're getting educated. So really, maybe even changing the way people people's schedules are,
Yes.
the work flex schedule that it might have to go permanent, permanent that isn't coming into the office 5 days a week.
So I was seeing that some businesses have decided. Just 2 days ago, I was reading Deloitte, right, have now made it permanent working from home. You don't really need to come to the office until you have to. And Deloitte is just an example. It's just Deloitte being in management consultancy. Um, uh, Twitter was one of the first where they said that, okay, you don't really, unless you're really required. And this goes on for everyone. But then working from home is not really contrary to what many people think. It doesn't mean that you're slacking or that you're doing work. It might even put more burden on you, right? So again, the compassion that the business shows to people, being more flexible in terms of how people work and deliver, right? And getting people to understand that we actually do care,
Perfect, perfect.
right?
So that's a great topic there, and I do want to go into the next step, which is also the idea of communication. I know the best companies right now have really over communicated to their employees, but what's the next level after that?
I think it's not only about how much are you communicating, but how are you communicating, and what is the message that you're trying to get across. Now, again, with physical meetings and physical gathering and company events are not really possible, at least for now. How do you compensate for that, right? How do you replace the water cooler discussions? How do you replace the coffee discussion when, okay, we're going for a coffee or whatever? How do you replace this kind of communication, the quality of communication, and the one-to-one? And again, it's one-to-one in both directions, right? Not only that you're communicating to your employees, but you're making sure that they are communicating back to you, right? Not through emails only, but having a discussion, an ongoing discussion and a communication loop, right? To give people, again, this reinforces the sense of belonging and the sense of
Yes.
community,
Yeah,
right?
and I get that idea that yeah, it's you said one to one, or it's a back and forth dialogue, but even taking it a step further by maybe engaging and exciting the employee by giving them or empowering them to actually help with the decision making, or help them come up with creative ways of how to help the company pivot or move forward, or change, or even create their new role for themselves instead of waiting for information to come
Someone to
down
tell them, yes,
from the
yeah,
leaders. Yeah.
someone to tell them that. And many businesses are pivoting because the reality is different, and the relation that they have, the business relation they have is different, both upstreams and downstream, right?
Hmm.
So you need to pivot.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope to cover
Mm.
upstream and downstream in future
Yeah,
conversations. But also the idea of communication, collaboration, but also collaboration for the businesses with partners that they've never thought they were going to do business with, and
yeah,
now this might be a great opportunity for them to think of new avenues for revenue, right? So
yes.
that's exciting to kind of keep an eye out, and how are we going to service from your technical side, from my agile side? How are we going to help them service those needs, right? So.
Indeed, and how do you keep? I know we're focusing more because it is more important on the human part of it, but even the technology, making sure that you make choices that doesn't lock you down, making sure that whatever technology that you're going with serve those goals and manage to deliver the communication that you wanted to deliver. Um, uh, of course, while being safe and secured, which is a huge concern right now with everyone working from home, the concern about security and safety are even more elevated,
Hmm. Hmm. Awesome.
right?
So, was there any other topics or any other things you wanted to cover before we finish off today's? Uh,
I think the best example that come to mind talking about this kind of culture is a Norwegian company called Telnor. The big Norwegian company have about 20,000 employees, private sector. And they came up with this methodology dealing with their employees as they transitioned to work from home or flexible working hours. They call their approach tight, loose, tight. So they are very tight in defining the expectations from their employees. What is it that they're supposed to deliver? And then they are loose in terms of how employees can deliver that, right? So they don't set firm rules. There is a lot of flexibility around working hours, delivery methods, so many different things. And then it's again tight when it comes to evaluation and the measurements of quality of work that is being delivered. This opens a lot of venues for employees, right? Again, everyone is in a different boat, as you have said earlier. Maybe someone is caring for elderly, someone has kids at home, someone has a sick family member. No one really knows. Everyone is different. So being accommodating in this regard really sets apart companies that manage to implement something similar. And I think they are a great example.
Perfect. That's an
Mm.
amazing close to
Yeah.
our conversation about setting groundwork for our future podcast about what recommendations we would have for different topics. Ziad, I know we had a backlog in our first session of different topics that we want to cover. Is there one that really stands out for you that can really tie up for our next podcast?
I think the best starting point is to really, now that we kind of at least partially understand or trying to understand how the new world look like, is now, so this is what, how do we think is going to look like? how do we deliver for it? So basically, how is delivery for this new reality is going to be different. I think that would be a very good starting point for us and will help us define the rest of the backlog.
Perfect. I totally agree with that. So,
Yeah,
a great topic that we'll record next week, and we'll do some research on it.
yeah.
Um, Before I sign off, is there anything you want to say to our audience?
We look forward to hearing from you. It has been fun, and we look for the interaction with you, hearing from you, and trying to cover new subjects and new ground. Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, definitely. And what Ziad is alluding to is if you do have comments, or if you do have questions, or
Mm,
want specific topics covered, please put them in our comments in our YouTube channel below, and we will make sure to try to add them to our backlog.
yeah,
So with that, I'd like to thank you for making time to look at our video. And Ziad, thank you very much for making time. I know it's been a busy
good.
week for you as usual. So I'm signing off. Thank you for watching Delivery for Business Unusual.
Thank you.